Welcome to All Worn Out. I'm your host, Warren Meredith. On the show today, Wes Renaud. He's not in one, two, but three awesome bands, and he's the bass player for all of them. Bangers for Breakfast, Until, or Carnivore Strings. Let's get into it now with the very busy bassist, Wes Renaud. Hi, everybody. Welcome to All Worn Out. It's a podcast about music. It's a podcast about what you're passionate about, and it's a podcast about what our guest is passionate about. We're very lucky, excited. We're bringing on the show today someone from way out there in Pembroke, and we're excited to have them here. Thank you so much for coming on. The incredible, the wild, the whiskful. I'm trying to think of W words that are that aren't wonderful, you know? The wild, the wacky, but I don't even think you're wacky.
I'll take them all.
The wonderfully bearded Wes Renaud.
Oh, thank you very much. More than happy to be here. Honored to be here.
Good. And I mean, you are obviously tight with a good friend of mine, Mike Graham, Mega Mike.
Yes.
And
We go way back.
okay, good. What an interesting guy Mega Mike is. Inspirational in many ways, just because like finds a way to get it done. And when I was listening to a couple of things recorded today with Mega Mike, I was very impressed. Now, yes, the recording was fine, but I'm going to say this, like, I was very impressed with your bands, Wes. Like, they're both,
Thank you.
like, I just found out before we started recording, you know, Wes is in 3 bands right now. Is that correct?
That's correct, yes.
Okay. See, I was researching him on 2 bands today, and I was like, wow, this guy's busy, and he's got cool music going, but he's actually got 3 bands going.
Oh, just wait.
That's pretty awesome. And you're a married man, right, Wes?
I am, yes. Happily married.
What a lucky man, you know?
100%.
Right? I mean, so many people, they want to play music, so, you know, guys and girls, and their significant other is sometimes, it's make or break. I'll tell you, folks.
No, I owe all of this to my beautiful wife, Courtney. If she did not support me, I wouldn't be in 1 band, let alone 3.
Yes, that's exactly the truth. And it's just like some people, it just doesn't work for them. And I get it. So like, I don't want to trash anybody, but like I've had people leave bands because it's just like their significant other can't really handle it.
That happens. And family comes first.
Right.
100% all the time. A lot of the bands, we are also family. Like we're all family men. So we're all set on the same path, it seems. We all have the same sights in mind and it works. But yeah, without her, I wouldn't be able to do this, any of it.
Yeah. So the 3 bands, they're all different genres, kind of, yes?
Sure, yeah.
So like what I was getting out of, for example, so actually let's start this way. Which band is oldest?
The first band would be Carnivore Strings.
Okay.
That started about 2019, when band practice was illegal. Things were tense and interesting.
Yeah.
And it was just something to do on a Thursday evening. We never intended it to be a band, to be working on our second album, to play Whitewater Rocks. We opened Whitewater Rocks this year.
Oh,
that was awesome. Yeah. We're back in studio, but that was the first band that we got together, and that's Raymond, Ray Sheen, Matt Hounsden, and myself.
Okay, so is Ray in all 3 bands as well?
Ray is in Until.
Okay.
And Carnivore Strings, yes.
But he's not in.
He's not
Bangers.
in Breakfast, no.
Okay, all right. I know, like you had one drummer that I saw a couple times, I think at least, so that makes sense.
That's Ray, yeah.
Yeah, and all right, so you started off with Carnivore Strings, and what was the idea for for the sound? What was the inspiration for what you guys wanted to kind of come up with?
I said we never intended for it to be anything. Mm-hmm. At some point, we decided we have to do band things if we're going to call ourselves a band. And so that included getting gigs and performing live. And we went we climbed all the greasy runs of the ladder as a band together. Getting off stage, even your wife is unattracted to you. Yeah, into something that's worth your while and is entertaining. We try to stick to our strengths. I know that Matt's voice is very unique. It's something akin to a White Stripes. So I think we had about 15 solid minutes of White Stripes in the first kind of rendition of what we were doing. But yeah, we're really trying to play to our strengths and figure out who we were as musicians and as a band.
Cool. Right on. And so then, how much have you done? An album, an EP, a single? What have you released with Carnivore Strings?
With Carnivore, we have an album on Spotify, YouTube, wherever you find stuff. That was my first release as a musician with those guys, and that was pretty cool. We recorded it all at Matt's house. He's got a little Tascam, and we recorded everything off the Tascam. Electric drums. It's very, very raw, very whatever we could do on our own, but we wanted to make our mark. And so I think we have 6 or 7 songs on our first release. And we're back in the studio recording. Bigger budget this time around. We're actually going to a studio recording with acoustic drums. We've got the bass, the acoustic drums, and a rhythm guitar track all on the same kind of rough demo, where we're going to add more to it. And that should be released this year sometime.
Right. I mean, so I'm going to talk about Warts and All for a minute, if that's okay with you. So, Bangers for Breakfast, you guys just released a live EP out on Spotify 2 days ago.
Yes.
And who are the members of Bangers for Breakfast?
So you have Kevin Morin. He is frontman, guitar, and vocals.
Mm-hmm.
You have Steve Amiot. I believe I'm saying his last name correctly.
Yeah.
But Steve, Powerhouse Steve, drummer extraordinaire Steve, and then obviously bass, myself. I'm playing bass.
Okay.
I started a new job sometime like 2020, 2021, and my new foreman, he had this tattoo right here of a music note, right where you'd see if he was playing guitar. So I thought I'd pop the question to see if he played and if he was interested. Turns out he did. And that's Kevin. He's now my frontman. And he was jamming with another guy that I seen on the job site, a Mason. I seen him across the street, long hair, cigarette in his mouth the whole time. And I thought, man, that guy rocks when I seen him. Lo and behold, that's the drummer. And so I invited them to a Carnivore gig. They needed a bass player, and I was available. I had some time on my hands. I heard them. It was too good not to be a band. So we threw that together, and we've been, I think, 3 years now. We've been going.
3 years?
Yeah.
Okay. Have you
It took a while to come out with a release.
Okay, so this is still the first release, though, right?
100. Yeah, absolutely.
Because what I was going to say is, for a live album, it's really good.
Thank you.
Yeah, people out there, if you're a fan of punk music, I think you're really going to enjoy it if you go and check out Warts and All on Spotify from Bangers for Breakfast. And, I mean, I'll just give you some of my thoughts here. So I really didn't know what to expect coming into live recording, because you never know. It's such a huge test of a musician. And then when people say they're punk, you're like, oh, does that mean they're sloppy punk or they're on time punk, right? Like there's like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I didn't really know which one I was going to expect. And I got really, really good results. I mean,
cool.
Wow.
Cool.
I could hear everything, which is the first step in that live recording situation is, can I pick out everybody? And I could.
Absolutely.
And then I was like really impressed with how everyone played their parts. And
cool.
I didn't hear mess ups. I didn't hear fuck ups. I heard.
There were a couple.
I know. Well, I know because
there always is.
I know what you mean. Like there's a couple times where maybe somebody hits the wrong thing, but it was right back. Like even
cool.
and so I wouldn't notice it. Only you guys would notice those because
exactly, yeah,
they're so fast. And honestly, I would say, like, listening to it first time, I didn't hear any mistakes. You know what I mean?
Nice.
So it sounded like really good. I love that you guys had the crowd cheers and the claps. How many people were in the space with you?
Probably fucking 8.
Yeah, but it makes a difference. I thought it added a great atmosphere to the live recording and tied it together. So you're like, oh, cool, they're playing for some people, you know?
And there wasn't too much chatter in between songs, which was nice. There wasn't a lot of room noise.
No.
Yeah.
And like the people, it just makes it feel more like a house party, more like more like you're part of a house show, you know? And which is a cool punk vibe to have.
There probably wasn't 8, but there was definitely less than 50. You know what I mean? Like it wasn't a whole lot of people. The night was just starting, and just to speak on it, that club in particular has a really low ceiling, and I think that really helped with the overall sound of the recording. It kept everything condensed and real tight, and I'm happy you enjoyed it.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I mean, so the songs on there's 4 songs, and okay, yeah, I have it here. So you started with Rules. Rules and Outcast, I thought that they were pretty awesome songs, punk songs, straightforward punk songs, but good. Like maybe, would you agree those are probably like the heavy hitters coming up front to make contact?
Absolutely. It is, it's a good representation of the band.
Yeah. And then, because Midlife Crisis, I love this song, but here I heard some mixing of the genres. So here I heard the classic rock riff coming in there and infecting a little bit, and I'm like, oh, it's still punk as hell, but like it's I can hear now some other influences coming in.
Yeah.
And then the group vocals in Bull in a China Shop, I like those. I like those group vocals. Because where did I have it here? I have something written down about how now I have it. Oh, but it's a note for Until. Never mind. So yeah. I was gonna make a reference to another band, but it's like it's
applicable.
It might be, kind of, but like I wanted maybe actually. So like I found that in Until, there's a song where you have like AFI style backing vocals, but it's more of a rock song. Okay, so like this is what I found interesting about your bands and your projects is like I was picking out punk elements in the rock songs, and I was picking out rock elements out of the punk songs, but not a lot. And you guys were able, like I said, the first 2 songs struck me as just like punk, straight up punk, and I didn't pick up anything else. But then once I got into Midlife Crisis, I could hear Black Sabbath influence.
Sure.
And then the Bull in a China Shop, I loved it. I thought it's very punk too. It's very punk too. I mean, so I'm not criticizing. Don't take it as a criticism.
No, absolutely. It's okay.
I can understand that you're the bassist in all the projects. I think it makes sense to me. But the clapping and the cheering, I like it, and take notes because atmosphere is a real thing, right? Vibes.
I thought it was a bold move. I thought it represented our band well, and we are all very proud of it. Imagine
the silence that would have been there. That's the thing. Like remove the laughter, the chatter, the clapping, remove it, and what you're left with is just like this. Okay, let's keep going. You know what I mean?
It has the energy that you try to get in studio, and it just has it naturally because we play the song and then we move on. We don't get a second shot playing that song, and we wouldn't have that recording if it wasn't for Mega Mike. He shows up with all of his equipment and he does his thing. And we definitely kind of threw this together for the podcast, but I said, I'd love if we had something out for today and a place to send people. And we're all very proud of it. And I'm happy you like it.
Whoa. Yes, I do like it. And so for people out there live off the floor, it's just super hard. It's really what bands want to do because it proves to people that when you pay to come see them live, it's worth the price of admission. Because it means you're a good band. You can play your songs, and that's a great thing, folks. And recording can become a game where you are not necessarily fudging things, but making sure that the best foot is going forward at all times.
Absolutely.
And some bands, I mean, it's rough. It's a lot of pressure to get through the song.
The smallest thing will trip you up, and you'll want to do it all again. And it's an ugly cycle, but you want to be proud of what you released at the same time. Yeah, I know.
Right? But I mean, you did it. And I thought you guys did it really well. I mean, how many members in that band again?
All the bands are 3 pieces.
3 pieces. Okay, so this is one reason it's probably so tight. So the 3 of you are locked in. There's not like that 4th or 5th element that might drag along. So I think that adds to the tightness of it. But
even conversation. Like 3 people can have one conversation. If you have 4 people, you have 2 separate conversations happening, just like that. And so as a band, if you got 4 guys, you kind of have to have a meeting to get everyone involved in the same topic. Right?
I mean, that's true. I've never been in a 3-piece myself. I'm always a vocalist, so it's just like I'm always number 4.
Well, damn 5. Good vocalist, I like to say.
Thanks, man. And you've got 3 good vocalists that you work with. They're all unique, and I really liked your vocalist in Until. We're going to talk about Until as well in a moment.
Cool.
But we're still in the punk world, so let me just stay in the punk world for a minute.
Yeah.
I saw that you had like some posts on your Facebook about NoFX. Would you say that like NoFX was a big influence on you growing up?
For me personally, yes. I love NoFX. Misfits. I got Misfits tattoos. Those are my 2 favorite. Pennywise as well. But I love the punk energy. It was something I thought I grew out of. And then I got into punk band, and it turns out I didn't. I didn't grow out of it at all.
I know a lot of people that were punks in high school, and they're still punks. They have kids, they've got married, they've grown up, they do everything, but they're still punks. And
it gets it going, man. Like it gets under your skin. I can't help it.
Yeah. You are who you are, and it's like a rebellious nature. And the lyrics in your songs, like I said, very good, very straightforward, and like very punk and rebellious, and saying like, fuck you, I want to live the life I want to live. I'm going to live it my way. And that's the great
We are
message.
bangers for breakfast, and our music hurts our bodies, man. That's it.
So yeah, bangers for breakfast. It made me think of like bangers and mash, and then and stuff like that. How did you come up with the band name?
So Cavan came up with it. The band name, that's a really unique part of forming a band. I really enjoy that time in a band. What are we going to call ourselves? And you come up with all sorts of stupid shit.
Yeah, you do. 99 answers, and they're all wrong.
Exactly.
Yep. Oh yeah.
I think Cavan came up with bangers for breakfast, and I thought it was very suiting. That's a banger. Oh, that's a banger. You hear it on podcasts all the time, and so bangers for breakfast. It's what we don't write any ballads. We don't have any slow songs. It's nothing but bangers. I thought that was perfect, and so we ran with it.
Awesome. I think it's a great name. And like also because like you could be like partying through the night, and it's like still you're getting a banger for breakfast. You know what I mean? So like I think it's a great name, and yeah, you can play with it. And I had Super Kyle on the podcast here not too long ago.
I heard that one, yeah.
And after the pod, I think actually, I was talking to him and asking him, I was like, yo, man, like, have you ever heard of like She's Nubs? And he's like, what? Who? And I'm like, She's Nubs, man. NoFX. She's Nubs. And he's like,
yes.
No, I don't know what you're talking about. And I'm like, I'm going to blow your mind right now. So I like showed him that, and then I told him about her story, and and I was like, Google her. I'm like, check her out. Like, she's got a huge following. You know what I mean? It kind of changed her life when these guys decided to acknowledge her fandom in the most, endearing song. And it showed to me, like, as a kid, I wasn't necessarily a punk in high school at all, but I was definitely part of the Napster generation. LimeWire generation, where we were downloading everything. We were like the first ones to have it when we were like 13.
Yeah.
And
Mom and Dad didn't know what it was yet.
Nobody did. I was downloading everything, all kinds of music that I'd never heard before. like just anything, And I'll credit honestly, like, yes, I wish in a way that it didn't happen in a way, because I love the old format now of how, but man, it opened my mind up, and I got to hear so much stuff from.
Imagine how boring it'd be if not,
right?
if you didn't do that, right? Like,
yeah, oh yeah, like from everything, from the musical Cats to No Effects, to, right, to 1930s jazz, all the way to the Beach Boys, and you just keep going because it was fun to just explore. Country music. I remember going over to my buddy's house after school. We'd just download like 5 or 6 songs and just like be like, cool. That's cool. That's also
I remember
cool.
calling into radio stations requesting songs. Do you remember that?
Oh, yes.
I have a sleepover with a buddy, and we just call over and over again till they play us on the radio. And that was the highlight of our night. There's no video games or.
That's right. Yeah. I mean, I was in the last generation of kids that were recording songs off the radio with their tape cassette.
Your cassette, yeah.
Making tapes for girlfriends, whatever it might be. It was, I call it like this rapid transitional time. And I don't know if it feels like this for everybody who ever lived, but for me, I'm born back in 86. And the way it feels for me is like I got to see all these technological changes unfold rapidly. Like, so sure. I'm a little kid. I remember the rotary phones. And we had one of those. And then, right? And then that was gone. And I remember going to the cord phone. And then the wireless phone. And then there was people who had these big brick cell phones. I remember getting my very first little Bell cell phone.
Call waiting.
Yes. And the answering machine.
Sure.
And all these bizarre rewinding a tape, fast forwarding a tape. And,
Be kind, rewind.
Yes. And then CDs came and made my mom mad because she was like, I bought like hundreds of cassette tapes. What am I supposed to do with them all? And it's like, yeah.
Garage sale.
See, back then was when the music industry was winning. And they were like, yes. Buy our stuff again for the 3rd time. Yeah.
But who listens to 8-track anymore? How many 8-track diehards do you know? It's very few. He's got sideburns and he's got a denim jacket. You haven't seen him for a minute.
Yeah, you're just listening to the 8-track for style points. You're not listening to it for the audio quality or anything like that. Yeah, so we'll just close it off by quickly saying, warts and all, folks, go and check it out on Spotify. It's a live punk album.
It's there.
Recorded by Mike Graham, Mega Mike. These guys worked really hard, and I think it's really impressive, and I think it's really good. So go and stream that, check it out, have fun with it. And now we'll talk about Until.
Okay.
So, oh no! So, Until has a very cool name, and it looks like it's named after the title track of like your first track.
The other way around. I think the song came after we named the band.
Cool.
Yes, the band was an idea we had. I think it's more of a super group. It was an idea that the three of us had for about a year. Ray was playing with Darren, and they were called Destruction Manual. They had Dylan Pankey on bass, and great band. The music is still out on Spotify. It's under Codwell, Darren's last name, Darren Codwell. Mm-hmm. We were talking about starting a band, and we needed a band name. Again, that magical moment where you need a band name. And one of the requirements was a single word for the band name. I found a video that said something like, how long do you wait for a baby to walk before you give up on it? Which is an absurd question. You wait until the baby can walk. And he kept saying until over and over again. So I sent until to the guys and said, what do you think? They thought it was cool. We released the song Until from Until. And I went to look us up and I realized we made a grave error because it's too generic and you can't find us anywhere.
Oh.
It wasn't until we had the second release, Slap in the Faith, where you can kind of pinpoint the search and you can find the band. But that's kind of how that name and that band started.
Okay.
It started with the name, and Darren's a very talented songwriter.
Okay.
And he took that name and he wrote a song about the band starting, and then he wrote an entire album like a week and a half later, and we recorded it. I don't know. It's like a super group. I don't know what to say.
It's like a super group.
It is.
What would you say his voice reminds you of?
It's very 80s, very Darren.
Wolf Mother.
Really?
Yeah, woman, yes, I'm a woman. Oh yeah, you ask him to sing that song. He'll blow it out of the water.
He's gonna listen to this. That's gonna be in the set list. And it's gonna be your fucking fault.
He'll destroy it. He'll destroy it. His voice is like suited for Wolf Mother. It's
nice.
Like yeah.
I never thought of that. That's very cool.
Huge compliment in my opinion, because he's way up there. So
sure.
You know, it's something I covered years ago, and I don't think I would anymore. I think my voice has just dropped off a bit too much, and I'd be reaching for the stars.
Well, I know what I'm practicing after we finish this phone call.
Yeah, right on, man. Right. So I mean, when I listen, I get all these ideas from you guys. Like the Slap in the Faith, I picked up metal vibes off of this song.
Yes.
And like more so than the other songs, like more than punk or anything, it was like more metal, and that's cool. Nothing wrong with that. Very cool. And then, like I said, Mad with Me, that's where I got the Wolf Mother vibes off of, and I was like,
okay,
yeah. From Mad with Me, I have my notes here and it's written down. So, and also I have Greta Van Fleet. So. Just because he can go up there with his voice and his voice has character,
sure.
He can do it. He there's enough depth there in his voice that he can do it. And honestly, his name's Darren, right?
Correct.
Okay, Darren, I don't know if they did this for you or not, but like, Darren, if you've never recorded with a Neve before, you'll love it. You'll love it. There's some things you could do to his voice a little bit to put a little more shine on it, and it would just be oh yeah. I was thinking of a few things where I was like, I don't know if they used this, you know what I mean? Because sure. But honestly, it's a compliment. I'm saying his voice is really good, and in my opinion, when you have a really good voice, it's like having a beautiful wife. You want to dress her up and take her out. Okay, yes. Sure, she's perfectly beautiful when she's naked in the bedroom, but there's no problem with dressing her up and taking her out on the town. So that's what I say. You know, I like to do that with my voice too. You know,
right there, we're gonna dress you up, we're gonna take you out.
Oh yeah, man. I mean, like, so I'll just tell you why. Because like, as a vocalist myself, I have become addicted to certain things in the studio, and so things I've become addicted to would be like the Neumann mic that I'm singing into.
Okay,
it's like, oh my god, and I think you can rent it. That's the thing, like. I think it's a rentable item because it's like $10,000 or $5,000 for this microphone, right?
If you keep telling him, he'll buy it though.
Well, even if he just rents it when you record next, I think, you know, like the Neumann sound. There's like two of them that are super expensive, and if you pick either of them, they're just oh. And then you know this thing called a Neve, which I think is like a compressor or something like that, but it's like. Oh man, it's silky smooth. It puts just a smoothness onto your voice where you're like, ooh, what's that? And it's like you don't really notice it till it's there.
Yeah.
Not Orange Audio. There's another company that makes some stuff that's really good. I'll try and think of it for you. And it's like cheaper, but it's like they're finding what these guys have put onto it, you know? Recording's a game like this. It's a lot of fun. Like I've recorded in a barn that was like 150 years old, and there was mice living in the walls, and like leaving our stuff in that room felt bad. This is a bad idea, you know what I mean? Yeah, and still it was such an epic experience, and I'm proud of what we did, you know. But then eventually I just I really wanted to experience a studio. I wanted to experience like what that felt like and get pushed around by a producer and all that.
You take yourself seriously when you put yourself in a serious setting.
Ah, that's
right?
true. That's true.
It's kind of how I view it. When you're paying to be there, you're not going to mess around nearly as much, and you're going to bring your A game and not waste your time.
It's true. Whereas the benefits to doing like, you know, in the barn or whatever, like I said, doing it yourself, the benefits are you've got endless amounts of time.
Yes.
There doesn't need to be stress.
You may capture something that nobody intended on playing until that moment.
That's right. There's benefits to both. There's
absolutely.
Benefits. Yeah. So, I mean, yeah, I just think, and again, that's why I had like my questions. Not that I'm snotty or anything.
No.
But I mean, I
just play bass in a punk band. I show up on time. We're good to go.
Whatever, man. Again, I think that's an impressive punk band. I think that because you guys are all playing correctly and doing a great job together, killing those songs, man. So, yeah. So with Until, like I was saying, I heard like AFI backing vocals in Slap in the Faith. In Until. When you guys say Until and then you break it up, ill. That part there, I'm like, oh, that's AFI. I'm like, that's like so like, I'll try and send you the song afterwards. And it's just like, this is good stuff, by the way, people. What I'm talking about right now is like what we want. You want your heroes, you want your references, you want the things that came through in your childhood. You want that stuff to come through in your music. Like, that's the whole point.
It means you're doing it right. You're doing the job. You're doing the thing.
Yeah, a whole piece of music is creating nostalgia. It's creating nostalgia that people want to take a bite of and remember. And so it's not about ripping off or any of that bull crap.
Inspired.
That's
not
right.
ripping off.
That's right. And so I love that. And we have a lot of like gang vocals in our music. So like that's why I love backing vocals and hearing like what the ideas are. And when I heard that, like my first thought in my head is like, oh, that's cheating. And then I'm like, no, it's smart. That's really awesome. I love it. And yeah, you know. What else do I have here? So I thought there's like overall, it's a more modern hard rock style for Until with like with metal feelings and also punk feelings that I heard coming through a little bit at different times. But like mostly hard, like I was getting that modern hard rock kind
Until
of vibe.
Was a really good exercise for myself in playing the correct bass line. With Banger for Breakfast, Steve, the drummer, is all over the place, putting 2 or 3 fills where you didn't think one fill could go. So that allows me to really express myself on the bass and play octaves in weird ways and all these extra stuff that you wouldn't get most of the time. When we were recording Until, I wanted to honor the song and to really play the proper bass line to the song. And it did follow this very, 80s rock, 80s metal. Don't do too much extra, but just enough at that right part of the song, and then get right back in your lane and keep cruising. And it was a really cool exercise and just staying in your lane for me.
So why did you decide to become a bassist? And when did you decide to become a bassist?
Out of necessity.
That's what my bass player says. Well, he says he was forced into it. That like he basically had a band in high school that was like, yeah, you have to be the bass player. Like we don't have one, but like we need one. And then they like played him a song with the bass, and then the guy took the bass out and he's like, do you still like the song? And my band, I was like, no way. And he like got tricked into that by, becoming a bassist, but he's great. So that's cool. Out of necessity. So you wanted to join a band?
I was in and out of bands from elementary school through high school. Nothing that really took off, nothing. But yeah, playing music with friends, and I learned then that it is needed, and somebody does need to play bass. And eventually, around 2019, when Carnivore started, someone came to my house and said, "Come play bass in my band," and I couldn't get the idea out of my head, and I started playing bass, and I decided if I was going to do this, I wanted to do it properly. And to be, have a good band, a decent band, something you're proud of.
Yeah.
And anyone that says they can't hear the bass, that just means he's playing it right. If he made a mistake, you'd hear him out
It's a
front.
3-piece, man.
Yeah.
If they don't hear the bass, they're just not listening. So, I mean, yeah. I'm glad you're a bassist. And what I like about you is you're, as a bassist, is you remind me of my bass player. And you remind me of another bass guy I like, JS, and another bass guy I like, Bob, and another bass guy. All these guys are really passionate musicians. They're not just bass players. Like Tammy Sorry never would have done anything, like nothing. We never would have moved an inch if it wasn't for our bass player. The work behind the scenes that he does is just, you know, the organizational stuff, grant application, festival application, this and that. Are you the same way? Are you doing a whole bunch of stuff behind the scenes for all these bands?
Well, of course, I'm doing everything. There'd be nothing without me.
You're that guy's F you guys, okay? And the band.
I'm very fortunate to have very awesome and unique songwriters that I work with. And if it wasn't for them, who wants to listen to bass by themselves? Like just bass by itself. Even the kids leave when you do that. They don't want any part of that.
Okay, funny story for you, quick here. When we were auditioning our bass players 7-8 years ago, the first guy who came in was like, I love prog. I play prog all the time, and I write prog. My favorite bands are Rush, this band. He just keeps naming off these prog bands I've never heard of. The only one I knew was Rush. And so then he's like, now I'm going to play for you a 15-minute composition, which I'm not joking. This is a 15-minute bass composition, and I really hope you guys enjoy it. And then he just stood there, boom, 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 playing a bass song for 15.
And I bet it was fucking perfect too.
It was perfect, but I don't know what happened. I was just like, afterwards, you're just like looking at each other, you're just like, you know, it's like this isn't the right fit.
This isn't the guy.
This isn't quite it, you know. So then Alex came in next to audition, and he had Iron Maiden shirt on, and I was like, oh, just too far, because I'm like, you know, Iron Maiden's like right out of my range, and it's just a little bit too, it's just also a little bit too heavy for what I was going for at the time. Like I wanted a rock band in a southern rock style.
But I mean, a bass player that can do it is capable of a lot.
So then we found out at the audition, Alex is like, well, if I join this band, I have to leave the orchestra that I'm a member in. And we're like, yeah, leave the orchestra. Like you could play, like, cause he could play anything, right? And he's so, he loves the music we're making.
You're not in the orchestra. You leave the orchestra.
Yeah, exactly. We're like, yeah, leave the orchestra and come to us. We like those skills. We like that skill set.
Yeah.
So like the graphic work, because like Carnivore Strings has a cool graphic behind you. Until has a cool logo. Bangers for Breakfast has a cool logo and artwork with it. Who's doing all this art?
Oh, so drummer Ray, he works for Sun Signs, and he does a lot of billboards and he wraps a lot of cars and stuff. So he comes up with these sorts of things, and he's very artistic in that manner. The Carnivore Strings, I'll admit, is AI. But as far as we're concerned, you paid for the program, you get the image.
It's almost 2025. You know,
exactly.
It's 2024, folks, and it's like the roaring 20s of the 1900s. Who knows?
Exactly.
It's wild times, you know?
But I know he did the Until logo. That was all on his own, and he found something that we all agreed on, that we liked, and it looks good on clothing. You don't exactly know what it is. It could just be a clothing brand. It could be a restaurant. It could be a band. You're not sure. And so it's kind of cool. And Bangers for Breakfast, we adopted that photo. We found that one online. We don't try too hard when it comes to coming up with logos. The universe will provide.
Interesting. I like it. You know, for Taming Sorry, what we did was we went and we got we saw a tattoo girl who was awesome. Like we kept looking at her art and going like, if someone's going to draw Sorry or Sari, because we didn't know what it was at the time either, And we were like, if so, and we still don't. We'll still argue about it with people.
I keep typing in asking. Every time I look at the band, I write asking sorry.
Cool. I like it.
I'm asking sorry.
I like it. Well, no, I mean, we got messaged by a bunch of sorries eventually messaging us on Facebook being like, ha ha ha, you'll never tame me. You can't tame me. Like, honestly. And then that happened like 3 or 4 times. And like by the 4th person, I would just send them the messages that we got before of like a picture of all the other sorries telling us the same thing.
You're clever, but you're not.
Yeah, it's like, we know we won't tame you. It was never really a question. Yeah, she's up on the wall there, but you can't really see her right now. But anyways, our Taming Sorry logo was like this big, beautiful tattoo. And then we had a guy who makes logos. He just like took that tattoo and turned it into a logo. And I like it. I mean, since then, other stuff's been made for us. But yeah. Well, the tattoo artist was in Montreal, I think. But at the time, we met up with her in Ottawa because she was doing some stuff here. And I went to high school with her like many moons ago. And
I thought it was so awesome when you can give back, though.
Oh yeah, well, and also like when you can find finding an incredible artist and then working with them is just fun. And it doesn't matter like what it is, if it's music or you're coming up with the visuals or the video. All my experiences, like once I bought in and I was like, okay, I'm going to work with the producer, I loved it. Once I was like, okay, I'm going to buy in, I'm going to work with the director, for the music videos, I loved it. Like,
whatever. I love music videos, man. That's some top-notch shit.
Oh,
that makes me feel inadequate in my band. It's like, oh man, that looks so good. Your ideas, all the newspaper behind you, that's fucking awesome. Like shit like that, I love that stuff.
The story I tell about that is when we were putting the paper up on the wall, I had like a nervous breakdown, and I was because the guys were like joking around, and I didn't think they were taking it seriously, and I was like, look, we need to get this newspaper on this wall before this time, before it's ticking away, it's ticking, like, let's go, people. And they're all like, we worked today, and like we're tired, and we're laughing, and we're having a beer, so like get out of our face, Warren.
Yeah.
And I was like,
you'll get more out of a happy employee than a disgruntled one, though.
yeah. And so we got it done anyways. I mean, it's just me, that's my anxiety will sometimes get the better of me.
I can, what'd you hodgepodge that to the wall? How did you stick that to the wall?
I don't know, but we got in trouble because there was black all over the wall. And so like you had to like wash the walls or whatever. So we got in trouble, but like, so Danny and Miguel, the guitarists, they were cousins or are cousins, and
was that bad? Hey, they were cousins.
Yeah. And their grandfather owned this building, and so he was like, "You guys can video in here as long as you want up until this date. On this date, a church is moving in." And then we were in there, and then we got in trouble. They were like, yeah, there was like black ink all over the walls, and I'm like, well, there's a lot of newspaper taped to the wall.
Black ink from the newspapers.
Yeah.
Wow, I never thought of that.
Yeah,
was it the lights or something that they're just rubbing the walls? I guess
just rubbed it off a little bit, so there was like so it just had to be cleaned again.
How do you foresee that?
I don't know. But there was more ambition for that video too. Like we wanted to have a boardroom scene where there was like a guy at the front who was the devil, or like he turns into the devil in some scenes.
Sure, yeah.
And there was different ideas. We had a dancing girl, but then she came in and she started like dancing like seductively, but too much so. Where she was like really kind of like getting off on the fact that she was dancing in front of these 5 guys, and we were like, okay, this isn't like one of those things. Like we're actually making a creative project.
I'll refrain from making jokes, but I thought of what 3 of them to make right now.
Dude, it was just
try paying her less.
Yeah, man. It was just I think she liked Miguel. A lot of people are attracted to Taming Sorry's rhythm guitarist, Miguel. And that's fine. I don't care. I mean, he's the most attractive in the band. We were at a pool place in Gatineau, and we were like playing pool after a jam one night, and we go outside, and I'm with Mig and Taylor, the drummer, and this girl who was playing pool at the table across from us all night, smoking hot, comes up to the three of us and goes, hi, can I talk to your friend here? And like, she's French, but she's talking English, and Mig's French, and he goes, yeah, you could talk to me. I'm right here. And then they, and then I'm like, guys, you're both French. Like, go do the French thing. And like,
keep us all out of this, actually.
You know what I mean? and so she asked him out. Like, she legit just asked him out, and it blew me away. I was like, God damn, Mick, like, you are a lucky duckling, my friend.
Those things that singers and bass players don't get. It's reserved for the guitar player, I know.
yeah, exactly. It's yeah.
It does, and it helps when you're French. It doesn't hurt.
Oh yeah, he's got style.
You have that little extra, yeah.
He's got style, and I like to tell when we go into like places, he'll always say like, "Pas d'ambiance ici, there's no ambiance." You know, where's the vibes? Where's the vibes? I need something good. There's nothing here. So we go to the bars until we find the bar that has the best ambiance, and then you know, like, oh well,
good night.
It worked. Yeah. So you guys do some live shows. I'm out in Pembroke. Where do you play out there? So there's Lasso Live, right?
There's Lasso. Play there a little bit. And we play a lot at Legends, actually.
Finnigan's.
Yeah.
Finnigan's Legends.
Yeah, okay. Shout out to Lyle, club owner. He's really good to us, and we always have a good time when we're there. That's where we recorded the Warts and all, actually. Okay. It was at Legends. Yeah.
Awesome. And is there more venues in Pembroke?
I mean, there's a few more. It depends on the day for the style of music.
Oh, okay.
Right. It's a little town, a little rural. So if you were a country music act, if you were a 2-piece acoustic, you'd get farther than a 3-piece punk band might. But
I hear you.
So we are looking forward to expanding our horizons and doing some gigs in the surrounding area. Yeah.
Well, you met a lot of great bands from the Ottawa area when you did Summer Days.
Absolutely.
And so you would have become friends probably with Beyond Driven and Winter and Evil Creek.
To put that lightly, yeah. I remember Friday evening we jammed at the trailer with Evil Creek, Cliff from Evil Creek, and Ryan from Winter was there. Renaissance was there, Mega Mike, and I don't know. I went to bed at 4 a.m. I don't know when they went to bed, but that's when I went to bed. We had a great fucking time. So yeah, we I got well acquainted with those individuals, and I look forward to seeing them again at Kyle's birthday. Absolutely.
So that is November 16th.
Yeah.
And that's at the Rainbow. Have you played the Rainbow before?
Never. Okay. We're really looking forward to that. Yeah.
Yeah. So I always like to tell the story about how my guitarists, when we were in North Bay, they thought that there was ghosts following us. Anyways, so my point being, what I'm going to tie into that is when you're at the Rainbow, you may feel some spiritual presences because this was a blues bar back in the 80s and in the 90s. And when you walk around the bar, they've got pictures everywhere, like hundreds of pictures of the people who performed there over the years. And so it just has a very cool, nostalgic, spooky vibe to it. It has that old school stage, that old school bar, and the backstage room, which you're going to love.
I can't wait.
I mean, leave your mark on it. It's too hot to like hang out in that room now. Now people just like jam their shit in that room because it's just too hot. But I mean, back in the day, people used to smoke joints in there, and there was like the ventilator above you can see that used to function and everything like that. So it's a very cool bar with a lot of personality. Right. And when you fill it up with a few people, it's fantastic.
Well, I feel like a few people will show up for Super Kyle, and
I think you might be right about that. You may be right. I mean, that's a really cool bill. There's a lot of good bands on that bill, and
we're so honored.
Yeah, man. Super Kyle messaged me, and I was like, Super Kyle, you know that I damn well would, but we're just practicing. We're just getting back. We're just beginning the process of returning, and we just won't be ready yet. So that's
when do you think?
I hope in 2025, like I'm hoping in the new year we'll be hitting the ground running. I hope that that it'll be like that. We're doing some auditions and we're making some changes, and that just took time to think about. It just took time for us to ponder and make sure that we weren't rushing anything, that we aren't pushing anyone away. Because when someone in the band does say like, "Oh, I'm not having fun anymore," or whatever, and you've done a lot of things together and you've had fun and that, you're like, look, I'm not done. Like me, Warren, I ain't done. I got to keep going. And the songs that I've written with these guys, I'm not done with either. And I still want to sing them for people. And I feel like that's really important. Me and Alex, the bass player, we still want to. We're still in love with this. We still want to.
Cool.
And we are totally supportive of the guys in the band who may not want to. The ones who are not who decide not to return. It's not because
you're not having fun. Why are you doing it?
That's right, and we're not going to force.
Play for a reason. You play music. It's supposed to be fun.
Yeah. That's right, and we're not going to force it. And so like we want people to be happy and live their best life and all that. But at the same time, Taming Sorry will be back, and and again, it's exciting, scary because of what we achieved with the last group. With the last team that we had, it was such a great group.
And now that you've done that, you feel like you kind of need to. It has to be bigger, better.
Oh yeah,
maybe that's not the correct words, but you have to pick up from where you left off. So, you can't start over again. You can't take a step back. Keep us in the loop, because I know when we get around for a fire, if we're just drinking beers in the garage, Taming Sorry's on, and at work. You found your way in my podcast listens. I start my day with Joe Rogan, and before the end of it, all Worn Out is played. At least one episode. So
that's awesome, man. Yeah, very cool. Thank you so much. That's awesome to hear.
You're doing good stuff, man. I enjoy it.
Hey, there's so many talented people in everywhere. Like I mean, I've been lucky, I've been fortunate. I've been able to reach out to people, my friends in the States. I've reached out to my friends on the East Coast. And they were also, happy to jump in and help me, radio DJs and all these different people. I didn't know what All Worn Out would turn out to be, because I just made the post, and then the post did well, and I just started messaging everybody that messaged on the post. So if someone said on the post, like, hey, do it. And I looked at them and I said, oh, I know this person. They're a musician. I know that guy. I know that guy. I know that guy. Oh, cool.
It started while Taming Sorry took a bit of a lull, didn't it?
That's right. That's right. And I needed something to fill my time. Because I had to kind of cancel the summer and what I had planned for.
That's right.
So this just filled my time up really well and allowed me to stay passionate about music, thinking about it and what I want to do with it, and getting, all this inspiration from you guys, because like I said, this community is really a buzz, and there's so much coming out. And I think you guys are very good, by the way. I think all three of your projects, which is so hard to do, to be in multiple bands, but to have all three of them swinging at a really high level, I don't think that's easy to do.
I'm just retarded.
Well, I mean, you've got 9 people. You said you like bands of 3, but you're in 3 bands. So you essentially got you got one guy in 2 of them. So it's like, how many other band members? You essentially got
a lot of people that count on me.
Yeah.
When I say I'm going to show up and play the fucking songs I said I was going to learn.
Yeah. They're in big trouble if you don't come, man.
Yes. You don't want to make everyone look bad. You don't want to get off stage and even your wife isn't attracted to you. That's
I don't look good when I get off stage. I look like a soaked rat. Like I look like I'm drenched.
You could look like that if you had a good set.
Yeah.
You bomb, man, there's no feeling like bombing. There's Joe Rogan say it's like sucking a bunch in front of your mom.
Man, oh man. I mean,
hey, now we're on the topic.
Yeah.
Share a bomb story. What's the worst bomb you've experienced on stage?
Oh, to be like the most memorable one
sure.
is not even musical, but I'll tell you a couple of them. I've got lots of bomb stories. So like musically, I guess we could go back to the Rainbow Bistro. And one time I was doing Black Dog We were doing Black Dog there with my band Ginger Fox. You know, hey, hey, mom, I said the way you move. I forgot the words. So what happens in that song when you drop a lyric, right? Because it's all stop and go and like do 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 do. And if you make a mistake, it fucks the whole thing up. And like rule number one when you make a mistake on stage is you keep going. You don't stop.
Well, that's probably the worst song to play on stage. It
was so great when we nailed it. It was like so great when we nailed it. But like Stacy was there, the owner of the Rainbow, you know, and like she'll still, God, I still want to go in there. I feel bad that happened, and that was many years ago.
Yeah.
But still feels fresh. The shame
feels like it was yesterday.
Yeah, the shame is fresh. I still can't get rid of it. And then another one, I was 12, and I was on stage for something called Catch a Rising Star. And it was that whole year, that whole summer, I'd been going fair to fair in this competition. And you were trying to get points. But so if you got first, second, or third, you got a certain number of points.
Sure.
And I went to all these different fairs across all over the place. And I won like most of them. Like most of them, I was first. Sometimes I was second or third. And you know who beat me?
A girl?
My mom. So we were both doing this competition. All right. And my mom was singing Patsy.
You got to give it to mom.
Yeah. She was singing Patsy Cline and like old country music, and very gifted. And I was doing stand-up.
She was pandering to the audience.
Yeah. Exactly. And I was doing stand-up comedy. So it was a little bit different, you know? I was this little wienery kid trying to make people laugh. I went up on stage, and the microphone didn't work, and it was like wrapped around the thing, and I couldn't get it off. Everything went wrong in the first like 15
That's part of the act, though, if you play your cards correctly.
But I just had a panic attack, which is not part of the act. You know what I mean? So I finished the act and I did it, but it just wasn't nowhere near as good as I'd done it before. And I had like family in the audience that day and people, and I had like friends from school who'd come out to see me. And then afterwards they're like, good job. And I'm like, that was
shut up.
Like that was horrible. Like, leave me alone. Like, I didn't get on stage again for a while, and I definitely didn't do comedy again. Like, I've had comedians on the podcast, and I told them, like, I was like, look, one day I know I'm gonna force myself to get onto an open mic, just so I could clear my conscience of this horribleness.
You have an open mic every time you have a technical difficulty.
Yeah.
Right. Like you have an opportunity then to get the audience. You already have the audience in front of you, so get their attention and to take them on whatever journey you may want to. You might want to use some of that material where you can't get the mic out.
Right. And it was just, I don't know. I was so rehearsed. There's many lessons you learn as a performer as you grow and as you move through experiences. And the lesson I had to learn there was to roll with the punches. The lessons I had to learn there was to let it go. So what if it's not going to go like rehearsal? That's okay. Sometimes in theater, things go exactly like rehearsal. I've been there. Yeah, I've been there. And it can happen where you get off stage and everyone just goes, wow, we all just hit it. Now, like you said, not always.
Don't get used to it.
That's right. Oftentimes it's you're saving somebody. There's a line dropped and you're picking it up and you're saving somebody. And you always save somebody because you know you're going to need to be saved one day too. And it's kind of like that in music. And if I make mistakes with Taming Sorry, my bass player is the one who knows first. And most of the time, he's the only one who knows. And he looks at me like immediately, and I look at him immediately. And he'll like be singing what I'm supposed to be singing. For example, let's say I come in and I start singing the second verse instead of the first. It's happened. Yeah. It's happened where for some reason the song starts and I'm in the second verse. And then I'm looking over at Alex like, what? And he's like, you idiot, you know? But that's performance, and you have to be ready to go.
My thing is forgetting the riff mid-riff. I just played it 50 times for you people. You watched me play it. I can't tell you where it went. It's gone now. I was thinking about what I was going to eat later, intrusive thought, and now I've lost the riff. There's two kinds of mistakes. One's, in my opinion, one's acceptable and one's not. There's a mistake mid-riff, it happens. You get tripped up, whatever. And then the other is the mistake at the cue. Now, what the mistake at the cue tells me that you don't know for sure what's supposed to be happening. You're not as practiced as you should be, and therefore that's less forgivable than when you just played the rhythm, the little riff 50 times, and then you slipped all of a sudden. I can forgive that far easier to a bandmate or a band I'm watching, for that matter, because that stuff does happen. You're going to make mistakes live.
Oh yeah, live shit happens, and I mean, you hope to avoid the Jane's Addiction stuff. You hope
they got real hot for a minute, eh?
Yeah, you hope to avoid bands wanting to fight each other on the stage. That's just better back behind the stage, and
or not at all.
Hey, it'd be great.
I mean, avoid that. Yeah.
I mean, sometimes. Yeah, bands are relationships, and the best thing to do, of course, and it's like a marriage in some ways, and it's just like you have to, the music is the sex, and then the songs are the babies. And it's like, if you don't have...
That's the way to put it.
Yeah, and if you don't have good sex, if you don't have good music...
I don't know if my wife will like that so much, but that's a very interesting way to put it.
Tell your wife, be like, honey, I found out tonight.
I got a lot of babies with a bunch of guys I didn't know about it.
I've got like 7 babies, or like I've got like all these babies with like 7 dudes or whatever. Like, I don't care.
You're like Ray, though. It's okay, right?
Yeah, it's all good. and yeah, so I just feel like, and once you make these songs, they get lives of their own, but their lives are dependent upon what their parents do for them. So it's messed up. Do you shove that song out in people's faces? Do you put that song into a place to be heard? Like all these different things. Well,
the ear doesn't lie. If everyone in the band agrees with the way it sounds, then there's going to be somebody else in the audience or likewise that's going to agree with you. The ear doesn't lie. And like I said, we're a bunch of fathers. The kids they have to hear the music. It's force fed to them. And when you get the kids singing along, it's kind of like, all right, this is a good song. Even they agree it's a good song. Thankfully, they're singing the wrong words. Instead of party scene, they're singing policy, and I'm not going to correct it.
Why would you, right?
Exactly.
They'll get it eventually. Yeah, I remember like my friend's little girl was like singing the wrong words for like, gosh, what was the song? It was like Jingle Bells, but it was like she wasn't singing the Jingle Bells words. It was like a completely different song. And I was like, that's awesome. That's awesome. That's just like, they just like the melody. They don't care about what the words are at all.
I'll give them, especially my youngest, I'll give her the mandolin because it's her size and she'll just strum. And she'll sing about whatever she's observing, whatever she sees going on. And sometimes it rhymes, sometimes it doesn't. It doesn't bother them at all. And, it's fucking beautiful, man. It's exactly what we're doing.
Yeah. So October 26th, you're having the Helluva Halloween party at Finnigan's at what's it called again? Finnigan's Legends. Okay. Yeah, so make sure you get out to that if you're looking for a Halloween party, because it looks like there's prizes. And is it costumes?
Costume prizes, best dressed. We did the same thing last year. We had the big contest midnight, and everyone who was dressed up that qualified, they got to go up. This year, the bands are taking the costume a little more seriously.
Cool.
Bangers for breakfast, we have a group costume we're all going to wear. And for Carnivore, Ray and I, we kind of have a group, a couple's costume. And it should be a lot of fun, and it's a free show. So anyone that wants to attend, if there's nothing else going on that night, full of indie music, maybe stuff you have heard before, definitely stuff you haven't heard before. We got some new music for Bangers for Breakfast, never before heard. We're going to play some of those songs as well. Carnivore Strings, we're back in studio. We got about 4 new songs, 4 or 5 that are ready to be played. We got 3 new covers that we're going to throw in the mix because we are a bit of a cover band as well, and anything we can sing together a cappella ends up in the fucking set list. So
cool.
Yeah, Carnivore's a lot of fun.
Cool. And then November 16th, of course, Super Kyle's birthday party at the Rainbow again. Yes, get your tickets to go see Until at that. So yeah, 3 bands, lots happening, new music with all 3 bands
All
now
3 bands.
by the sounds of it, and live shows with all 3 bands going on in the near future. So people, get out there, support Wes, support Until, support Carnivore Strings, support Bangers for Breakfast. Let's get into it. And also, support the Pembroke music scene. Give them all the love that they deserve. They're part of our Ottawa music scene, in my opinion. At least I like to include them in our group. And I think you should too. So thank you so much for coming on the show today. The last thing I'm going to talk with you about is Trailer Park Boys. Are you a big fan?
Who's asking? If I can't swear and smoke, I can't represent myself properly, Your Honor.
Yeah, exactly, right? Ricky is incredible. I personally believe the show is highly underrated. Like, yes. It's my belief that the writing is not respected nearly as much overall as it should be. And I have a question. Like, was there ever a gay relationship on Canadian television as big or as accepted or as loved as Randy and Leahy? I don't think so. At the time, I don't think so. I think they broke boundaries.
I think the only thing that comes close to that would be Bert and Ernie, and we didn't understand that was gay at the time.
No, and Randy and Mr. Leahy were genuine. It was genuine.
They were woke before woke was a thing.
Yeah, they loved each other, and they were hilarious, but they were a real thing that you could tangibly hold on to as a relationship in a TV show. And so again,
a toxic one.
Yeah, but still, he's that bumblebee and a bee catcher.
For.
I mean, he wasn't. They were enabling each other, but I mean, like the bumblebee and the bee catcher, like that whole thing was just so incredibly done, and all of the stuff with Mr. Leahy. Again, he should have. Man, it sucks he's not here anymore because he was just incredible. And
a very underrated comedic couple as well, a comedic duo, a very underrated. I never thought of that.
Oh yeah, and Ricky, like the fact that there's like
he's my spirit animal,
like right? that character, incredible. The fact that he has
my weed, get my life back on track, man. These plants are the only thing I have.
Like the fact that he wanted to get his grade 10, he needed to get his grade 10 so bad. That he thought that was, but that logic carries through with his character perfectly, always. And the stuff with the cops and everything.
I think his biggest redeeming quality is, at the end of the day, he's a family man. He is trying to do right by his daughter and his grandson later on in the season. He's trying, as flawed as he may be, he is trying to do the right thing. And he's kind of like a Homer Simpson character in that aspect, where at the end of the episode, you don't feel. You kind of feel bad for him. Like, you don't feel any ill contempt.
I try to look at everyone through the eyes as if I was Bubbles. Because if your compassion level isn't like Bubbles, you start to realize you're like, oh, I'm not that nice. Like, Bubbles loves kitties, and he's not afraid to talk about it, and he's not afraid to say that hugging with the guys is important, and all this stuff like that, like, oh, come on, guys, like, let's have a hug. And so I love all of it, and I just wanted to touch on it briefly with you.
3-piece.
There's
something very special about that 3-piece. Right? Just 3 guys, man. You can take over the world.
It's true. All right, everybody. Thank you so much. I got to go find a Corey and a Trevor to edit this episode for me or something. Hopefully
Smokes,
they'll do it.
go.
Yeah, smokes, chips, something like that, and we'll get this done. Like I said, go check out all of Wes Renaud's awesome bands. Thank you to Wes for coming on the podcast, and we will see you all next time on All Worn Out. Bye-bye, everybody.